What's in room 101, Winston? You've always known what's in room 101. It's the worst thing in the world. Thus, the best and clearest definition of evil that I've ever come across is written in a political satire by George Orwell, 1984, where the final breaking of the archetypical human being is about to take place because someone has figured out the ultimate essence of evil. What is the worst thing there is? Now, it's not actually defined what the worst thing is. In fact, O'Brien, the insane genius who represents power and the desire to coerce in the novel, says, it's all kinds of things, all kinds of horrible things that could befall anyone, and the trick is to find out which one of those applies to which individual. So, evil, to my mind, is not torture, it's not war, it's not violence, it's not mental cruelty, guilt, whatever. Evil is simply that which is unendurable. Not the overt act itself, but its unendurability. The state of mind, the state of soul, psyche, that is evil. About 20 years ago, I went through what is, I believe to be, a period known as a severe depression, where there was nothing wrong with me physically at all. I looked to everyone else as someone who was just sort of glum, someone who, bit of a downer, but basically okay. Whereas the suffering that I was enduring at that time, and I can only look at this almost now at a great distance because I can't even remember how bad it was, but I remember in flashes the unendurability of it all. It was simply something had befallen me, something had crept into my soul, my being, that was simply I could not learn to live with. The feeling was so horrible. It's not something that you can get used to. You're suffering, but you have no notion of the ultimate relief from suffering. You are worried about just about everything imaginable in an obsessive way, but you're not delusional. You do believe that up is up, down is down. You're not hearing voices or seeing things. Now, that, to me, that state that we call, I guess, depression or anxiety is evil itself. Fear, horror. Not the things that cause it. As I say, like war, genocide, murder, torture. Those things bring that state out, that state called evil out. But what it actually is, that actual evilness, is what I'm trying to get at and trying to define here. Now, the reason why I say this, the reason why I think that this is important, is that what evil actually is, I believe, is something that is constant. It is something that has always existed in the heart of every human being. Not the capacity to do evil, but the capacity to feel that sense of hopeless victimness and that sense of unendurability. We all have the ability to feel that way in our soul. That is why I think people have often said there's evil in all of us. There is the evil, the potential to feel like you're in Winston's chair, Winston Smith in 1984, while he's got the cage wrapped around his face and the rats are about to bore directly into it. That moment of primeval, hopeless despair mixed with terror, fear, horror, and its utter inevitability. Now, a lot of people say that ethics are based upon our need to control the incidence of evil in the world. And I agree. And this is why I think ethics can actually be divorced from religion. I'm not saying that we should do this, mind you. It's just a question of opinion. But ethics, or the desire to so arrange human conduct as to prevent anyone being on the receiving end of that feeling of hopeless pain, unendurable suffering. That, to me, is what ethics are all about, and why we need ethics, and why they're useful things in society. Because the more likely my actions are to bring about that kind of feeling on someone else, the more likely I am to be subjected to it myself. This requires a lot more talking than a 5-minute or however long this is going to be blurb on YouTube. But I think, as I say, evil is a real thing, but we have to divorce it from its manifestations, its outward causes, and its outward results. We have to try and understand what that evil is per se. And I would have to say that it is an absolute. There is nothing redeeming about the unendurability factor, the hopeless suffering, the absence of sense of potential alleviation of such suffering. There's nothing good about it at all. There is no silver lining to that cloud. Thank you.